What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the show. I'm Corey.
Nathan here, and thanks for tuning in to the Rising Entrepreneur Podcast.
That's right. On this show, we interview entrepreneurs and industry experts from around the world to bring you actionable strategies and advice that you can use to start and grow your business.
And if you're new here or you haven't already, you're going to want to subscribe and get access to the 2 new episodes we're releasing every week to help rising entrepreneurs reach the next level.
Definitely. And also, please leave us a comment or a rating down below and let us know what your biggest takeaway is from today's interview, because we have a very special guest for you today. He's actually on a mission to free men from the prison of playing small by helping others develop businesses that are aligned with their life purpose and by stepping into who they really are, which we are very passionate about as well here on the show. And he says that 5 years ago, however, he was lost and depressed and in debt after just bankrupting his business with a desire to really just kind of sink through the floor. And today he actually coaches men to live a life beyond compromise, where they can live a life on purpose, passion, power, and profits. And he actually runs 2 podcasts and is developing a method where coaches and consultants can get to the first 2 to 5K months without hours on social media, ads, and cold calling. So please welcome to the show, Mr. Matt Friorn.
Thank you. That's beautiful. I had this emotional waves, first with the introduction, that's awesome, and then I became depressed there for a while, and in the end I got excited again. It's such you snap 5 years out of my life, but it's so much beyond that touches so much, the reason why I'm here, and I'm really happy to connect to you guys with the purpose that you come and showing up with. So thank you for bringing back those memories.
Absolutely, man.
I'm eager to dive deeper into the story and kind of hear more about it. So Corey, why don't you lead us down this path?
Yeah, Matt, go ahead and get us started, man. I mean, what brought you to where you are today? Why are you even passionate about helping people figure out business, helping them live life on their terms? Why does this matter to you?
I mean, the real story, the really long story, we'll see, I will try to keep it short, but the real long story starts from a childhood where all stories start, right? And we can believe it's someone inspiring us in when we're getting older, or some famous person or some teacher, but it starts with the parents. And for me, I was learned at a very early age that I'm not to be seen. I'm to hide, because if I'm seen, I'm a mess. I disturb my environment. So if I'm not playing small, then I will be kind of hated, or I will be told or pushed away. So I learned that at the age of 5 or 6. And since then, my journey has been to kind of not shine, kind of not show the fuck up. But then at some point I figure out that is not the way to live. That is not a way I want to lead. And that actually started when I started to say I was 18 years old. I was on an Amway. Do you know Amway?
Yes. Yeah.
In the US, everyone knows, right? One of the biggest network marketing companies in the world. And I was there 18 years old. I needed to step out of kind of the framework of school and these things. And I had a friend that brought me there, and I met kind of the upline there. And he was called Mats, guy from Åland, just next to Sweden. And what he did, he showed up on stage with his story, and he had gone from, a nobody, on loser, miserable, to the success story that we all like to hear, the hero's journey, the action movies or whatever it is, from the person that can't do anything to the person that can do it. So I just saw in his power, something was awakened in me that was ridiculous. I could be this guy. And I had some other people who had kind of been those strong leaders in my life before, but he was really embodying kind of the journey. I would like to be on that stage, inspiring thousands of people. And you just share, you were in the space of Russell Brunson, Funnel Hacking Live. And what happens in those spaces, that there is a mindset, there is a state set. We have a different vibrations on those spaces that we can't get to those same conclusions by our own. We can't get there on a one-on-one setting, but it's just the vibration, the energy there taps into kind of the infinite. I don't know what to call it, but it taps into something that is so beyond. So we start believing that I could be something that I, before with my conceptual mind, don't believe is true, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
100%.
That makes sense. So in the moment of having your life just like, it sounds like you were awakened, right? Like, boom, like, oh my gosh, there's so much more possible. And here's a vision of something that I would like, right? And again, we told you that that's kind of what brought Corey and I together, is how can we help, spark that aha for people in a way that's like, there's more for you. And there's so many different levels of that, but you're right. At an event, the vibrations can bring you to this place that you didn't know was possible, and have full transformations that you didn't know was possible. So did you, at this moment in this event, did you decide that this is what you wanted to do? Or were you like, okay, like, where did you go from, oh my God, I could be like this guy, and here's something that I want to do, that I want to be, that I moved to? How did that actually transform your life? How did that change the actions you took?
That's a good question, Lisa. So to compress a little bit, that led into a journey of growth, because like that led into a space of like learning to study things. So like one of the first books I was recommending was Think and Grow Rich. Did you read it?
Very good book.
Oh,
Very good book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I like that. It's a leather-bound copy too. That was nice.
This is the fancy one with gold pages.
Yeah.
I barely read this because it's so nice, but I look at it feels good. And one of the chapters was very important in this book was the mastermind. So I had a colleague, I went into sales very early. I became sales leader, team leader, I had my first 10K month when I was, 21 years old, just slashing down, consumer product, banking, finance, telecom. I want to be the best, and here I could be the best. Here I could be seen. It was just, if I worked harder than anyone else, I could get to the top. I could get the recognition. I could get the applause. I could be in the center. And that felt awesome for me then, because that's something I'd been lacking. And in one of these jobs, I met a guy that started talking about his book. And we was like, whatever, let's go and start a mastermind. So we started doing that. And within 2 years, we just grew a lot. And we kind of, when you have this energy that might be on the Funnel Hacking Live, you have this energy like, okay, now let's get going. Let's create something awesome. And it's like, we need to spread this. This energy cannot be contained in this body anymore, in this mind anymore. Let's spread this to the world. You know what I mean?
It's so awesome.
And so we were in that space, like we got to give away what we've been learning. And my friend then knew about like a Chinese berry called the goji berry. Now it's kind of popular, but this was 2009. And in Sweden, definitely no one knew about it. So we started like a small goji berry business, super lean. Like if you think about lean startups, you know about that concept. So we actually went to a Chinese store around the corner. We bought some Chinese bags with the kind of weird graphics and these Chinese signs. And in the Western culture, like we don't sell like that. It doesn't work. Yeah. So we repacked them in a cafe. You print some business card and staple them on these plastic pouches, and then we started selling it to friends and made an online store, and kind of just started doing things. And within 5 years, they grew to an international export-import business with hundreds of retailers and 2 online stores and a lot of things. That was like the growth was great, and the message was great. The message was be as good as you can be, and that's basically again the purpose I found there at kind of 18. Okay, I'm just playing small. I need to go to this vision of Mats that what he was showing me. So be as good. It's still kind of capturing the essence of the purpose of life. But that was so frustrating because this business should have been so empowering, so purposeful, so aligned, but it wasn't. It wasn't the right message, but an ineffective vehicle. I tried for years. I struggled for years. This is so right. This aligned with all the values I have. I'm the boss of this. I can decide whatever, but it wasn't.
What was it? What was the misalignment?
The misalignment was I didn't get this food thing really.
So it was the wrong industry.
It was the wrong industry, and I didn't find a way to communicate the message. So my passion wasn't really there. It was a business and was much better than many other things, and I could create things. I could grow the sales. We just exploded the sales, and that's all fun. But it wasn't a container.
The money was there. You were able to tie in what your life's purpose was to the mission, to the message, but that vehicle didn't allow you to deliver that message to the number of people that you wanted to in the way that you wanted to. Is that right?
I think that's captured, yeah.
Yeah, there's no goji berry conference that's gonna in your mind at the time. There wasn't a goji berry conference that was gonna transform lives. And so although it's almost everything, there's this other level that you saw. Now, good is the enemy to great, right? And having this thing that is like, man, I'm making money, I'm giving a good message, I'm helping people be healthy, I'm able to tap in to what I feel like I'm called to do. But in tapping into what I'm called to do, all it's doing is making my heart go, you need to do more. You need to do more. You need to do more. And a lot of people stay there because it's safe. Sounds like you moved on. I'm like, I'm going to do more. So like, what happened? Like, cause you went from,
I know. What happened?
you went from at 5, I'm not supposed to be seen or heard, I'm supposed to disappear. You had this moment of okay, no, I need to be seen, and I need to get my voice out there and help more people transform. And then you're like, okay, I'm going through, I figured out a way that I can help, but it's not enough. What's going on in your mind right there?
I mean, so what happens quite quickly, that was aligned to this, like, so my purpose, my passion, my skill was sales. I was ridiculously good in sales. So we were overwhelmed by sales, actually. The first, from week 1 or week 2, we were just overwhelmed. We didn't catch up, hiring enough sales, like production people, distribution, like the admin. That was our struggle. So quite early, that so many entrepreneurs did, I did like the general mistake. And I started doing the things that I was not good at.
Okay.
And so the business had huge growth, but then took about 5 years in, I bankrupted the business. So it's like no money. The sales were good, but what actually happened, a combination of different things. We were early on the market, then the big brands started coming in with, millions and millions in marketing budgets. We didn't have that. We were like the small player that had to do it smart and had to kind of hustle our way forth. And it was working. But then when they came in, at the same time, prices of like chia seed was one of our main products, kind of increased with 20%. We just invested in huge warehouse and, these kind of things. It just became too much. But in the end, it was a business that I was just managing finances, rents and payroll. And it was just management business. That wasn't me,
Right.
It was so much frustration. And that was, again, going back to the pit, to my shadow of playing small, hiding behind this big desk of comfort. But anyway, it bankrupted. And that was the first time I asked for help of an expert, really asked for help. Like, I was clueless. I had lost a lot of money. And I like, this is not okay. So I asked an expert. I had nothing more to lose. And he was kind of a lawyer, business lawyer. And he's like, we can fix this. And within an hour, he gave me a completely new view from the business I've been running for 5 years. And he's like, okay, we close this business, you buy it back. You buy the assets back and we restructure it. So I went from, 70-hour work weeks and 23 employees to 6 months later, having bought the business back. I worked 10 hours as a solopreneur. The sales were lower. They were half, but they were half on 10 hours a week instead of, hundreds of hours a week.
Right.
Wow.
That's quality.
And I did what I liked.
There. I mean, you got your quality, you got your life back, right?
Yeah. And again, I could be like 2 of these 10 hours was working out with ambassadors to the business. So that was like another, like, and that was important because what happens in this, like, we all have these things, we all have these stories of struggle, right? This bankruptcy, I turned it around. I sold that business, 1.5 years after or 2 years after bankruptcy. But 3 years after, there was still anxiety of that failure because it's still a story that is ultimate failure.
That's
and these stories,
even though you turned the failure into success, your brain decided to stick with the failure side of the story.
Or to tell both. And, we have all these stories going on, but still, holding back. So there was so much shame. And as we men do, all men play small, and that's okay. But we don't speak about it. We don't share about our fear. We don't share about our frustration. We don't share about our pain. And then I started speaking out. Like, I had a bankruptcy. My dad asked me, when I sold that business, I took 5 months off and figured out, like, if I don't listen to my head, like a lot of us, we're really good at having ideas. And it's easy to come up, like the past 10 years, I've been running like 25 different aspects of different businesses and different projects. Like, it's easy. But if I don't listen to this, if I take time to breathe, if I take time to just let things pass away and don't care about them and see what really sticks. It took me 5 months. And then as I get into business coaching and share, well, some other people don't have to go through this freaking mess.
Yeah.
Like, it's too painful. It's like, don't do this. and like I got an insight from this guy Chris there that was like kind of my supporter, and like why didn't I talk to him 3 years earlier? If I could have paid in $5,000 or euro, that would have saved me tens of thousands of euros, right?
So this is really interesting, man, because I imagine a lot of people listening right now that are probably feeling like, man, that's me. Like I am in a position right now where I feel almost like I'm handcuffed to my business, and they're doing it because it's so successful that they can't just quit, but they know it's not leading them in the direction, or at least maybe they feel that way. Like what's your message to these people? Like how can they start listening to that voice inside? How can they, start moving forward maybe in a different direction?
I think like what is so important when we have our own business, we have so much power over our business. And that means as soon as we come with an idea, we can make a pivot. And we live in a world of reactivity. So we get inputs and we react to that input instead of being true creators. True creators are seen like Bill Gates, he takes 1 week off of no input a year. That's his kind of vision quest to connect to his purpose, to create his alignment. And others of, Jeff Bezos, it takes, hours every morning of doing nothing. And this is what the successful people do, but non-successful people, we're just busy being busy. And then what happens is that we believe a thought, oh, gotta do this. I would say I'm pretty much a master of this these days, but I caught myself, I was evaluating the Q2 goals, and I just read the Traffic Secrets book, like an amazing book. Oh my God, such a good book. And I put out one of my 3 goals for the quarter was to connect to 10 influencers and do some kind of collaboration with them. And that's a tactic he speaks a lot about. And then I looked at it like last week, it's like, that had nothing to do with where I was. Nothing to do where my next step was in the timeline of developing my business from where I am to where I want to go. Nothing. But I was sold that idea from an amazing marketer that this is the path. Like, no, it's not my path, and it's not my path now. We sold that idea.
Well, I was going to say, it takes a lot of discipline, to be able to resist that.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of stick with this for a second because you're like, we are, especially as absorbers, that people that want to level up, rising entrepreneurs, right? We're trying to consume more stuff. We're trying to get more information, know how to do what we do better. But sometimes their job is to sell their thing to us, right? And so here, it's really interesting. You're making the distinction of, yes, okay, I set a goal, but this goal wasn't mine. This goal was this book's. And yes, it's an amazing book. And I love this book. And I will use this book, but not right now. But not right now, because this isn't the next step in my journey. And I will put it in my back pocket for when I get to that phase of the journey. There's a lot of wisdom in that. And there's a lot of, it's hard to do on your own. It's hard to see that from yourself, that I'm going down all these different paths. I'm being pulled because it sounds good today down this thing. How do you stay directed? How do you make sure you're on path and that you're doing the next step?
I mean, it's an eternal question, and especially in these days. And I think I'm just ridiculous in my measurement, in my clarity, in like the discipline of targets and breaking stuff down. But it really comes down to, like, most are hunting results, and then we get short-term results, and then when we build on that unstable foundation, the house burns to the ground, and then we have to start it all over again. So when we believe that everyone is ahead of me and I need the results now, there's not true anywhere. Like, I'm 34 years old. It's likely I'm 110 years old. I might be dead tomorrow. So I live today with no regrets. I'm ready to die today. Make this day purposeful. And at the same time, I'm building my fort. I'm planting apple trees, or I'm planting trees today, day by day. Yeah, I don't care.
That's really smart, man. It's smart, and it's long-term thinking, like you just said. I mean, you made the distinction. If we live on short-term goals and we live on short-term thinking, then things will inevitably self-destruct, and that long-term thinking allows you to realize, every action is the most important action because it could be the last.
You also,
and that comes back to so to answer your previous question, Corey, about what was it? About, anyway, I will answer it and we'll see what the question was if we remember. So we focus on quick results instead. So someone that feels like disalignment, that was what you spoke about. They want to have more. But the truth is, like, don't change shit. Don't change your business. Don't change your strategy. Change your like input. See who's your next role model. Who's the next book that answered this specific question. But we've got to get intentional with the learning, because we're only like moving from one point A that is huge success to reach that point A. Like people tend to forget that journey, and then we have a point B where we want to go. But what is the one thing you need to learn right now to accelerate that journey? And no one has that answer, because no one has been exact point A you've been. No one has the exact point B you want to be. But who's most aligned? And not when it comes to tactics. Tactics are amazing, but tactics are way below the level of strategy. That's way below the level of system. That's way below the level of values. So we don't build a foundation up. These are my values. I'm only going to work with people that have these values. That goes like service first, heart first. If I'm not connected, no way. And then a system. A quick input here. It's the alchemic system. You know alchemy? To create gold from lead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's a pretty good art. And it's a proven system. It's simple. Everyone can do it. It's like a clockwork. Do you want to know how it is?
What's the secret, man? What's the secret?
Yeah.
So this is like, the power of this is, it doesn't matter the tactic or the strategy you have. So if the goal is to, you're going to have a good relationship, if it's to build wealth, if it is to create a successful business and make sales record every month, doesn't matter. But number one, okay, first we need a goal. But the goal isn't without, is external to the system. And the system is more powerful than a goal. So you can put whatever goal into the system, it will work. Number one part of the alchemic process is that we have a proven strategy to take you from point A to point B. And there are thousands of strategies to anything you want to create in life. Thousands. And most people are still stupid enough, I'm one of them often, that still don't follow the proven systems, right? So find a proven system. That's number one. Number two, have accountability so you follow the system, because if we don't have accountability, we never follow the system. And that's one of the biggest journeys I did in the past years. I've been trying to do it myself. And that's like saying, as soon as I find, oh shit, I can't do this by myself, that's one of my biggest successes in life, because within a day, I create accountability in my life. So I don't have to count on myself anymore, because I know I don't.
Right.
That's one of my superpowers. And so number one, strategy. Number two, accountability. Number three is that we learn from the action we take and that we are accountable for. We learn from them. And this seems like a good system, right? But it's not enough, because a lot of people are learning shit, but they don't implement it. So step number four is we implement learnings into the strategy, and then becomes our strategy that is the best strategy ever.
This is
we go again.
Nathan's favorite is step number 4 for sure. He's always calling me out because I'm so quick to want to just learn the next thing, and he's like, "But how does it relate? How can we put it to action? How does it work with what we're doing?" So I love that, man.
Yeah,
and it's like, as of now, I spend like 1.5 hours a day to evaluate stuff. And, that creates growth and learning so much more real and powerful and so much more grounded. And it's a lot of fun. To finish off that, it's okay, Nathan. Whatever goal you have, whatever you want to achieve, as long as you tap into this, and you can still suck, you can be really bad at what you're doing, as long as you have this system of these 4 steps, success is guaranteed. There's no question about it. But people say, like, okay, I'm going to start with this strategy, and the strategy is doomed to fail. All strategies are doomed to fail without the system.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you. You know, one of the biggest challenges is you pick a path, a successful path, right? You go, okay, this is but sometimes that strategy doesn't fit who you are. Doesn't work with your strengths, with your abilities, with your superpowers. So we need to spend some time exploring different proven solutions within our goal, right? Right, and then because you try something, you see if it works, right? You experiment, and then you learn from it, and then you create a new strategy based on what you learned for you. And I like that, because the challenge is, again, we're trying to fit other people's strategies to our skills.
Hmm.
But if you can look and fit a strategy to your skills and then look at how's it working and adjust it and stay on that path, like you're saying, use a proven path, stay on it. How do you know when? So because you talked about measuring and you talked about evaluating. So like, how do you know when to pivot from a path? How do you know when a path is proven? What are you measuring? What are you reviewing with this hour and a half? Because for people that aren't scientific, that don't know how to measure what are you measuring?
Yeah. So it depends. A lot of the thing, actually, I work on the internal process a ridiculous amount. So kind of what are my feelings, what are my experience, what are my kind of insights to harvest these and to kind of notice the small kind of sensations, or like, so from our conversation, what kind of was awakened, what things has triggered me, and kind of harvest that and try to understand what it actually was. Was it something you said? Was it the way you said it? Was it, maybe the story that came from? And then like, how can I catch this and create more of what works? Because usually we can believe it's like, okay, I made 100 sales calls today. That's the reason why, you got that sale in. But it usually was because, you had 10 of these leads had much, much higher quality than the other 90. So how can we actually get only 10 of these leads?
So you're trying to find out what's the most, by looking at all the things that are around you, all the inputs around you, what is the smartest thing I can do with what I know right now? I mean, what are you saying?
So like I have a bunch of questions I go through to kind of, what has kind of triggered, if it's an insight or whatever it is, like what is the trigger here, and how can I, what is that would gain the harvest? I think harvest is a really essential word. What's the harvest I can take from this, and what opportunities do I see here? Kind of what risks do I see if I go this path? What risk do I see? What action do I need to take to mend those risks, and so on?
Okay.
And then really to let things go slower. I think that's really like an important thing to, like, if I have to do it today, I have a rule. If I must, I can't. And if I can't, I must, if that makes sense. It's like, if this is so important, this is so exciting, then I say I can't. Then I need to take a break.
That's so if I must, I can't. And if I can't, I must. That's really
the
deep.
part.
There's a lot there because like they say with meditating, right? If you don't have 10 minutes, you need 20, right? If you can't do it, you need it. Like, and if you must do it, well, now you're being driven by emotion and possibly you're not thinking correctly.
And you're a victim. The biggest thing, you're a victim. Someone outside force has forced you to take action. And if you start as a victim, you will come out as a victim. And that's never fun.
No. And you know what I'm hearing a lot too is a really deep sense of self-awareness that you possess, because you're talking about listening to triggers. You're talking about internal cues. You're talking about, listening to the conversation and literally dissecting it as it's happening. What's causing an emotion? What's triggering me? What's making me excited? What's making me depressed? I mean, just in the intro alone, you talked about how that brought you on an emotional journey, right? And it's, so to me, I think that level of self-awareness is really important, A, but B, it's also pretty rare. I mean, not a lot of people possess that. A lot of people do feel victimized by their situation or their circumstance or, the experience that's unfolding in front of them. They are simply a player in that experience rather than being the creator of the experience. How can we start to shift that thinking? I mean, what was it in you that brought you to this level of self-awareness?
That's impossible to answer. No, really, what it comes to is the most important realization, I believe, is about showing the fuck up to leadership. Because it's like one distinction. If this moment wasn't my fault, if I'm not responsible for this moment, I can't get myself out of this moment.
I love that.
Say, doesn't matter what I do, doesn't matter what I think, I'm stuck. I'm a victim of my environment and the people around me. They put me here.
Preach it, brother Matthias.
And that's the story of a child, right? That's the story of a child. Because I tell my daughter, she's like, why do you have to tell me what to do? She's upset. She's 5 years old. She's upset with me. And that's the problem with accountability. We have our parents that care the most for us, and we had a teacher caring also, but giving us rules. That's the experience we have from accountability. Now we're growing up. It's like, I don't want to be accountable to anyone. I want to be free. And then next level is no, if I'm free, I suck. But I will choose who's my accountability partner and who can hold me, that I respect and trust. So that means also, if I put myself in the point of bankruptcy, if I put myself in owing that money, if I put myself in the moment when I came home to my wife after working, said I will be home at 6, but I didn't make that train, and I came home at 7, and I wanted to meet eye contact. We work really hard on our relationship and have done since we met, and how we meet, how we greet, all these details we work on. And then that day, she didn't look me in the eyes. And what that meant to me, what you in the intro sharing, like I wanted to sink through the floor, was she does not count on me more. That was the story I told in that moment. And I know that can never happen again. So, but I created that moment when she thought she cannot count on me. I had not shown the fuck up for her. I had not shown the fuck up for our new baby daughter. I had not shown the fuck up for how I was providing physically, emotionally, and with my leadership and financially. I had not shown up, and this is the result. And it was my fault. I was to blame.
Yeah, responsibility is key. Taking responsibility for everything like that, I think is kind of the easiest way, to, like, the most tactical way, practical way to getting to that self-awareness. That's great, man. And it's tough for some of us, especially as guys, to be able to be responsible for when we screw up. But the more we can do that, the more we grow, the more we learn, and we level up collectively. That's awesome, man. So
we have, yeah.
Well, we got to transition, bro, because we're starting to get into the end of the episode here, and we have one section that we would love to bring you through. So Nathan, you want to take it away, man?
Yeah, for sure. We're about to dig into perils and pearls. First though, I just have to acknowledge, what was the quote? If you're free, you suck. Like, we're going to dig into that at some point, because there's a lot of truth in that, right? Discipline creates freedom, not freedom doesn't create more freedom, right? So and anyway,
commitment. Commitment creates discipline.
What's that?
Commitment. When we're committed, we're free.
Yep. Yeah. So okay. So here's where it is. You talked about being on a winding road that other people aren't going to be on. You talked about some really cool stuff in your path, and on that broken path of becoming a rising entrepreneur, you've come across perils that we haven't seen yet. And in going through those perils, you've uncovered in the darkness pearls of wisdom to help people either avoid that peril or climb out of it faster than you did. So what we want you to do is as a rising entrepreneur, what's the biggest peril that you've come across, and what's a pearl of wisdom that can help us avoid it or climb out of it?
Beautiful question. Thank you. So I want to share the story. I'm working on a project now, and I think this is the solution. Can I share it?
Absolutely.
So I started after this, like basically 10 years as an entrepreneur. I became a business coach, as I shared. And I was like, this is going to be easy. I've been selling online for, have had 6-figure months online. I've been, import, export, I've been doing all these kind of things, all kinds of niches, all kinds of things. It's going to be easy. I never sold a service like that. So I'm going to make this case study, how to become profitable in 30 days. Yeah, like boom, boom, beating my shit. It's going to be cool. And then 4 months in, I actually had a profitable month where I can take salary, and it's like, that's cool. But it took 8 months before I had, every month was profitable. 8 months after 10 years of business experience as a coach with huge amount of value. There are millions and millions of people that need that experience, and to pay me, it's just a fraction of that. The cost, if it's, spending 2 or 3, 4, 5 more years, quitting the business, shame for the wife, the self-doubt, or the money lost. The biggest cost is to not make 100K a year or $1 million a year. That's the biggest cost, no matter what. It's like, okay, there is this gift I have, but no one is getting it because I don't get this game. And I tried everything online. I tried everything. I've been, social media marketing, Instagram, Facebook groups, advertising, sales funnels, all tactics amazing, but not where I was. Not with the skill and not with the problem that I was there to solve. right then. And during this journey, I've been talking to a lot. My main focus then has been, dadpreneurs, men that are committed to family first, and then want to create a business that supports the family. But the thing is, the path there is dependent on three things. So the way to produce customers, what I found after this, like hundreds of conversations, is to create customers, we need trust, intimacy, and authority. That's it. We have the trust. Okay, I believe in you. Like if you say a word, I think you're speaking the truth. Authority, you know something that I want to know, right? And I trust you that it's true. Number 3 is I have an intimate environment, an intimate conversation. This is basically as intimate we get. I can say something, you respond, I respond, we're back and forth. That's intimacy, right? And like online, the problem in the world there is super powerful, and we can scale the business, but it doesn't, we can send a message or messenger and they might not reply. I don't have control over that. And I can be angry at them or whatever, but it doesn't help me, it doesn't help them. So how can we create that when we're starting out? So like now I'm on a venture to help coaches that have gifts, that have passion, that have a mission.
I'm gonna interrupt you, and I'm sorry. I don't know what peril we're trying to solve. What is the peril? Like, did you like? Because I want I'm loving the story, but what is the peril that you came across that we're going to help them? So it's succinct for them, so we can give people, because we want to dig into your story, but I want to give people that are listening a real short synopsis of the best pearl of wisdom that you've got in this thing, in a short, like, here's the peril that I had to face, and here's the thing that you can do to avoid it or to climb out of it. So if you just be real specific, and then we can jump right back into the story.
Okay, I'll make my best. Thank you. So basically, the question, if you're starting out the business, what is the fastest and most straight way to create intimacy, authority, and trust with your perfect clients? That is the question. That's the quest. So if you have any kind of service-based business, that usually means talking to people one-on-one. And when we come into the space as someone with an expertise, we think that we have something to tell people. But if we reverse that process, say, I don't know shit, but I'm going to ask the people who I'm committed to serve what they know, what they are struggling with. They will want to get intimate with you because they are authorities in the expertise of their own life. So they will want to talk to you, get intimate with you. And when you are that, you will ask questions that are on a higher level that no one else ever asked them, not even their wives, not even their best friends, because no one cares enough and listen to them. So then, but just by asking questions, you build trust. And at the same time, you also build authority. And that works in any kind of niche, even if you're selling to, 7-figure contracts. They just slamming the phone, interview them instead, learn from them, serve the real pains and frustration. But whatever business it is, also if you're selling cars, what is the best way to create intimacy, authority, and trust? And as a beginner to get to the first clients, it's not scalable strategies. It's one-on-one grinding, but doing what you love, doing what you're strong at, talking to people, caring about people.
So that's super valuable. So out of that, the peril is that I see is the expert peril, right? Is that you know something and you know how to do something, and you think you know what people need. And because you think you know what people need, you may miss the boat, right? And you're saying, find out, ask them, question them, find out what they really need. And in that process, you're going to gain the trust and authority that you need to be able to help them, to be able to sell them, to be able to do whatever it is, or to be able to deliver your expertise to them. Is that kind of right?
Definitely. And what tends to happen, like I started executing this strategy for myself about 1.5 years back, and I've been helping clients to do the same strategy. And then in the end of the year, I was evaluating what's been working. And they actually, through doing this, for the research, the people they interviewed said, without a pitch, without saying anything what they're even working with, they said, can you help me figure this out?
Yeah, this is really interesting actually to me, because I started this podcast back August of last year, and I noticed really quickly that I am able to get so much more intimate with someone so much more quickly in a scenario like this, where it's an interview versus a sales call. Now, don't get me wrong. The podcast it's a lead generator for our business. This is what this is, right? But it's also, it's a production machine. And when I bring people on, like if I was trying to bring people through a sales process to sell what we sell, it's it's a sales call. Like it's stiff, you know, they know it, I know it, everybody, like it's in the air, the energy. But as soon as you change that into an interview, it becomes a way different dynamic. And so to bring this back to what you were talking about in the beginning, you know, you were talking like you don't need a podcast, right? You were listening to the podcast Profit Lab and Jamie's teaching, and it's basically that, right? You're using the podcast to generate leads and then using that interview to sell them at the end. But without the podcast, why would the person be interested in the interview? I'm curious about that.
So it's all about framing, and the point is that we want to be special. Like if anyone reaches out to you, it's like, okay, I've seen what you're doing in the entrepreneur space. It's super cool. I'm impressed by that. I'm just now launching a concept for people who kind of are, you know, on the same journey or are about to launch their business. And I'm sure you have an amazing insight to share with me. Can we get on the call and I can do research, ask you a couple of questions or a bunch of questions? Basically like something framing like that, but it's about building the authority. Like you have something I want to know.
Okay.
That's basically this very basic framing. And what I experience is like about 50 to 60%. I want to have to experiment with the messaging exactly, but 50, 60% says yes.
No, that makes sense. That's really good because it is about the framing and the positioning of the question. This is why I'm asking you. If you elevate somebody's status in the request, I think you are, like you said, you're doing things that are cool in the space. I appreciate it. And because I appreciate you and what you're doing, I'd like your input. When you elevate the status as part of the request, and a podcast automatically does that, right? Because hey, I believe I want to share your message with my audience, with people I care about. But you're saying, okay, you don't. If you don't have the podcast, you just have to find a way to frame why you're asking them in a way that honors them in a similar way.
Yeah. So I love podcasts. I run 2 podcasts. I think it's a great context. But again, the thing is, if you're a starting coach or consultant, you don't need any kind of these things. Like you don't need a Facebook page. You don't need anything. It's just adding on. And that is great for scaling. But scale when you afford to scale, when you have, you know, the 1,000 or 2,000 per month to invest in whatever those strategies are. But don't start out doing that. That's the point.
That's smart too, because you know, for everyone listening, running a podcast ain't easy, right? So yeah, if you don't want to necessarily do that, you don't need to do that just to start, you know, doing this strategy of prospecting and sales. So I'm interested, Matthias, what is, you know, for those that are interested, like they want to know more about this process, like where can we learn more about this? Where can we find out, you know, how can we get in touch with you or get into your program? What do you have for us?
Sure. So I want to add one quick note to that. And it is like, by doing this process, we do what we love. And that is talking to people, asking questions to the people that we are committed to serve. Like that's the biggest gift. The biggest issue for startups, they don't, I spoke to a guy, had spent the last 2 years, 50 hours with perfect clients and the rest in marketing bubble space, right? 50 hours. You know, his confidence was doing things he didn't know. But here's building confidence. So this is process. I'm just right now systemizing it and it's going to scale this. And I'm doing that now by interviewing people who are in this market actually. So I'm practicing the method to build the method. It's a great journey. And soon I will launch a 5-day free challenge to tap in how you can get immediately within these 5 days to have conversations with your perfect clients and start learning from them, to develop the copy, to develop the offers and all these parts just within, you know, the first week, basically.
Awesome.
Like people do the same leaps in a week that others do in 3 months. So you can go to interviewprofit.com and then it's just very simple sign up. You just add a name and your email address, and then you will get informed when the free challenge is out, and jump on that. It will probably only just be one challenge. It will probably only happen once during the launch. It's kind of a beta group coming out after that. It's going to be awesome for not the high numbers, but if you want to get started and say, I have a real business, this is the perfect opportunity for you.
That's awesome, man. And I think it's just a really interesting opportunity too. It's an angle at which not a lot of people are even privy to, you know? So this is really cool. So interviewprofit.com, right?
Yes.
Sweet, man. So everybody listening, for sure, go sign up for the waiting list for that challenge. I know we will. I'll be interested in going through that as well. So cool. Well, Nathan, you got any other?
Well, you got a final question. We got it right. You got a final question.
That's true, man. All right. So that's right. We got one more final question for you. And this is another pearl, but this time we're taking you back in the time machine. So if you had the opportunity, man, to go back like 5, 10, 15 years and sit with yourself and leave one pearl of wisdom, one piece of advice, what would that be?
Show the fuck up.
What would that mean though? What would you expand a little bit?
So it means to stretch further. That's one part of showing the fuck up, taking massive action. And the other part is to love yourself no matter what's happening, because you're on a journey, and that's exciting. It's a beautiful journey that you're on. And it takes a lot of self-love, a lot of courage to be there, to show up for your emotions and for the acceptance of the struggles and kind of obstacles that you're meeting, because you're on a journey.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And thank you again for taking time to come on the show, man, and share all of your knowledge and experience with us and our listeners. Really, really appreciate you, bro. And for everyone listening, all the notes that we talked about and the references will be linked down in the show notes below. So make sure you check that stuff out. But yeah, we appreciate you, Matt.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Nathan. It's been such a pleasure. It's so good to feel your energy and your commitment to service. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for coming out, Matt. It was awesome.
All right, man. We'll catch you on the next one.